How's it going, guys? Anfield here, and welcome back to a new video. Today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the features coming in the new patch 9.18 or patch 9.18, however you want to pronounce it. It's an enormous patch. There is so many changes, and in fact, many of these changes coming in this patch could have their own patch. But as it is, they're all coming in this one patch. And so the major changes, of course, most of you will know, is the brand new matchmaker, the reusable consumables, the complete artillery rework, and the tier 10 light tanks. Now, many of these changes are very, very difficult to test. In fact, specifically when it comes to the matchmaker, because everybody wants to play tier 10, specifically because of the light tanks, so we don't really get a solid idea how the matchmaker is going to behave in a live server scenario, because everyone is playing tier 10. So basically the matchmaker, the new matchmaker forces you into tier 10 dumps, where everyone gets tier 10, which of course was mentioned when we looked at how the new matchmaker was going to work. It was explained that if there are far too many of one specific tier, they will just be dumped in queue together. So that's exactly what happens on the test server. So unfortunately, we don't really get a great idea of how it will function. We may have to wait to the live server. Now, it does look pretty good and pretty promising, but it's difficult to know for sure because, again, it can't be tested. The tier 10 light tanks, however, can be tested for the most part. So I've got some footage for you here. You can see some of them being played, which of course I looked over some of the stats of the tier 10 light tanks in my previous stream highlight video of the test server, but I figured you guys might want to actually see some gameplay. So I've got some gameplay of the tanks here, and hopefully you guys can enjoy that while I'm just sort of talking about all the little things coming in the patch. Now, the artillery changes themselves are very controversial, of course, with artillery players very concerned that they won't be able to one-hit people from the back of the map, and a lot of people also concerned that the stun may be worse than, getting one hit. Now, personally, I don't see it this way. I think the stun is a much bigger improvement over what we had. Now, of course, total removal of artillery is still in my hopes and dreams, but realistically, is Wargaming ever going to do that? It's unlikely. They did mention something about it in a Russian interview where they said if these changes are not received well, their only option will be to remove the class. Now, that would be fantastic, but it's a lot to remove, entirely removing all those lines, all that work, all those HD models, not to mention all the compensation they would have to give. It seems very, very unlikely. Plus, I think the changes are much, much better. And so artillery won't be the specific thing that you have the biggest problem with in the game. So yeah, I mean, the artillery changes look pretty good considering what we currently deal with. I'm looking forward to it. The stun isn't that bad when you get stunned, and of course you can always use a reusable consumable, which is the next big thing coming in the patch. Reusable consumables, I think, look really, really nice. The only thing I'm concerned with is they decided to keep the 90 versus 60 second cooldown on the stun, or sorry, not the stun, the reusable consumables versus a large and a small medkit or repair kit, which is concerning because, yeah, I don't really think that should have been kept. It's true that you, of course, can buy plenty of those consumables for credits and not for gold and things like that, but it is a little bit economically, not really viable for those that don't run premium accounts and things like that. So I don't think that's really fair. The large repair kit, large med kit, they already heal everything in your crew, so I don't think another advantage is really necessary. But nonetheless, that's what we have currently. I do kind of hope they change it, to be honest with you, but I think it'll change gameplay very dramatically. Mostly in good ways, because I think it'll mitigate a lot of RNG problems we have. When you get double ammo racked in the beginning of a battle and that's ripped because you double reload, things like that. It'd be really nice not to have to deal with that kind of stuff in battles in future. So I am looking forward to that. Anything that sort of minimizes RNG's factor on whether you can win a game or not is good in my book. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for the reusable consumables. If they were the only thing coming in this patch, I would be pretty hyped. So the next thing, other than the artillery, which is difficult to test as well, and the reusable consumables, is of course the matchmaker. Now the matchmaker, like I said earlier, is very, very difficult to test. Everything is tier 10 on the test server, but I think it will be pretty good overall. Now, the only thing that I will mention about the matchmaker, because I can't talk too much about it, again, because I haven't actually seen it in action, I do worry a little bit that it will make a platoon of tier 10s very, 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 very powerful. I don't really see, if you were getting, you know, a tier 10 platoon of super unicoms, they're never going to lose. Well, potentially. So, yeah, that's something that I find slightly concerning, is that just the potency and the power of a platoon affecting the matchmaker there in that case. But we'll have to see. I mean, it may end up, specifically on the NA server where there's less people, that if you are in a platoon of tier 10s, you're more than likely not to get the ideal matchmaker that Wargaming likes to show. So, nonetheless, I think overall it looks good though, so we'll just have to wait and see. I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's a positive change. I mean, let's be honest, it couldn't really get much worse. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be pretty exciting. So yeah, but let's talk about the last thing. That's the tier 10 light tanks. Now, my opinion on the light tanks is probably not quite the same as some people or a lot of people. And that's because I actually don't think we needed tier 10 light tanks. In fact, I didn't really want the tier 8 light tanks. There's a lot of reasons for my opinion in this regard, and mostly it's to do with the fact that at the higher end, I think the medium tanks already sort of do their job. It seems a little redundant in many cases to have tier 10 lights when you already have the mediums that can sort of hybrid that role as it is. And you also have issues where some of the light tanks are basically very, very similar to the medium tanks. Good examples of this are the Rheinmetall, the tier 10 German light tank, as well as the tier 10 French light tank, the AMX 105, which you know, so in the Rheinmetall's case, it's basically a better Leopard 1. It's far smaller, much quicker, has better camo and better spotting, with similar gun statistics. Rip the Leopard. I don't really see the point of the Leopard now that you have that tank. The other option, of course, is the other way around, where the Batchat is basically a superior AMX 105, at least from my limited experience, in fairness. But yeah, I don't really see the point of that tank when the Batchat is basically a light tank as it is and has a 5-drum shot, and the AMX only has 3, as well as 2.7 second interclip. So, I mean, obviously it's got overall faster reload, but does it really matter? I don't know. I'm not so convinced. Yeah, I don't know. It's difficult to balance these tanks, because if you go too far one way, they become too strong, or if you go too far the other way, they become too weak versus the mediums, because that's what they'll always be compared to at tier 10. So yeah, it's problematic in that sense. Also, of course, currently right now the tier 10 mediums are the highest skill capped tanks in the game, but with the tier 10 light tanks, they will probably be the highest skill capped tanks in the game, being the most difficult to play due to the lack of armor, the high speed, and other things like that. Generally, most people have a much easier time playing high alpha, high armored, slower tanks. So yes, I'm not going to look forward to people suiciding their light tanks within the first few seconds of a game. It does concern me in many ways, especially if you do have to rely on their spotting on certain maps. But regardless, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to seem too doom and gloom about it, because most of the things in this patch I actually think are really, really cool and positive for the game. I worry a little bit about the light tanks, and maybe it's completely unfounded, and, you know, once these hit the live servers, it'll show to be that, you know, everything I said was just no need to be worrying about, really, and it actually does all work out okay. But again, I just, you know, wanted to voice my concerns. Kind of interested to see what you guys think about the light tanks. I'm sure many of you are excited to play the tanks. I mean, personally, I actually think the Sheridan looks pretty cool, which is ironic because I hate the current T49 and its stupid gun. Many of you guys know how I feel about HE-based mechanic guns, such as the Japanese heavies, the T49, the 183, the KV2. Yeah, all these tanks with their HE-based guns, all RNG slot machines. I don't think they should be in the game. But I was playing the T49, the Sheridan with its small gun, not the derp gun, and I actually had a really good time. it was a lot of fun. Honestly, I really did have a good time playing it, so I do look forward to potentially grinding that line out personally. But overall, it's going to be a pretty good patch, I think, and I'm really looking forward to a lot of these changes. It's going to be really awesome, I think, to play some of this stuff, so I am definitely looking forward to it. There are, of course, many things left in the game that do still need addressing, and while Wargaming definitely deserves credit for approaching some big things, such as artillery and the matchmaking, there is still work to be done, including very bad map design, which, again, could be solved with the HD maps, although they said they're not really changing much about the maps, just the look, which I think they should take the opportunity to redesign some maps. You know, if they're going to keep mines, for example, they should expand that map if it's going to be a tier 10 map. But, you know, and there are other things such as aforementioned HE-based guns and other things like that still do need some work. But, yeah, overall, this is a really good change. I'm really looking forward to seeing the artillery players being like, ha, Anfield, see, artillery was changed and now you can't deal with tank destroyers and whining about tank destroyers or something or other. I don't know. I'm sure they'll come up with something. But I'm looking forward to the general less artillery players per battle as they fail to adjust to the new higher skill cap version of artillery. That's going to be fun as well. But regardless, let me know what you're most looking forward to in this patch, because there's a lot of stuff to look forward to. Is it the tier 10 lights, the reusable consumables, the reworked artillery, or the new matchmaker? Let me know in the comments, let me know why, and I'll catch you on the next video.